Hey y'all, I'm Leah Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my husband with Southern stories of the macabre, the creepy, and the strange.
And I drink.
So what are we drinking tonight, Mitchell?
Our beer tonight is a cider. It is Peaches in Regalia cider from Treehorn LLC in Marietta, Georgia. 5.9% alcohol by volume. Let's read the can. Juicy, fragrant, ripe. A juicy peach at the peak of summer makes every day of heat worth it. Pairing the fragrant sweetness of peaches with the balanced acidity and tartness of apple is the perfect way to celebrate sunshine, long days, and warm summer nights. End quote. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that Leah enjoys it quite a bit.
Really good.
I will say I think it's light and crisp and refreshing. It's really good. Does not taste like it's 5.9% alcohol. Nope. It's so light and like clear. You can see it in my glass here if you're looking. It's very clear. It also doesn't have as much sweetness in a traditional cider. Kind of tastes like halfway between a cider and a seltzer. That's where I would put it, like dead in the middle. There's not as much flavor as you expect, but not as little flavor as a seltzer. So that's what I have to say. It is really nice, though. Really refreshing. I enjoy it quite a bit. 8 out of 10 is what I gave it. Leah, what do you think?
I think it's magnificent. I could drink 6 of those by myself if we were out doing something, you know? Like,
yeah.
I mean, not in a short period of time, don't get me wrong. I'm a very slow drinker, but like if we were out at the lake and just like hanging out in tubes all day, 100% I could drink 6 of those and be happy with it.
You get very drunk because it is way stronger than it tastes. It's stronger than a normal beer. Yeah. Anything like a Bud Light or something like that, it's stronger than that.
Yeah,
so.
it doesn't taste like it at all.
Yeah. It's stronger
than
a Truly and a White Claw. It's stronger than those.
I mean, it's fruity and it's a little sweet, but it's not that overly sweet.
Yeah.
It's not close to even like a woodchuck or anything like that. It's a lot more dry than that. But it is. Also, it's not bitter. It's
almost like a brut champagne.
Yeah, it gives me very like dry champagne vibes, but with peaches.
Yeah.
And I'm a super duper fan, and I would 100% get more of these.
Yeah, we may have to in our private time, Leah.
In our personal lives, we will be drinking more Treehorn.
No, Jesus Christ. Oh God, the new puppy just yelped. What happened? Somebody get hurt? All right, moving on. Our shot in the dark for the night. Salted caramel flavored whiskey from Bird Dog, bottled for Western Spirits by Three Springs Bottling Company in Bowling Green, Kentucky. 40% alcohol by volume. If you'd like to hear the full review, go back to, I believe it was the last swap episode we did in December of last year. Episode number 179 called I Love It When the Feet Are Left. That was Leah who wrote up the thing for it. Gave it a 9 out of 10. It's very nice. I can't wait to take a shot of it. And I don't know if I'll get to take a shot of it tonight because, maybe you have to do all the things and I have to work tomorrow. So
I was going to say, I should probably take the shots. You actually have a job tomorrow and I don't. So
it's okay.
Anyway, but also the questions are super easy, so we'll see.
Oh, yay.
Either way, Sour Liquors, yay.
Yeah, couple things. So with the new jobs that we have, I have to work every other Sunday starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
This Saturday night. So, I really can't get too drunk. But, I mean, I don't have to do anything, like, super complicated, but, like, I have to go into the office the first couple times. Every other time I'll be at home. So, like, I really shouldn't get fucked up because it's just our manager that's going to be there with me. So, let's not get fucked up.
Yeah, and she seems like she can have a good time, but, like, she's very straight-laced and very serious about her office, so. Yeah. So,
let's not have Mitch get fucked up. But maybe.
Let's let me get fucked up, and then tomorrow is my laser day, and I'm excited about it.
So. Hashtag laser day.
Laser day.
Coming at you.
Yeah. I'm excited. Also, super apologize for missing a couple of episodes in a row.
Oh, yeah, I did want to say something about that.
Yeah, but February fucking sucked for us, like, so hard.
Well, I'll say, I think what it was, I don't know how often anyone listening out there has ever, like, changed jobs, But every time I've ever gone into another job, I immediately get sick. I think it's just being around new people and being around a new environment. I've been sick for like 2 weeks. So I was sick. Leah had a whole thing with one of her teeth again.
Yeah.
And neither one of us have been able to do anything for about 2 weeks except for go to this new job.
Yeah,
So
I was going to say, it's been absolutely miserable. I got sick, then I got better. Then he got sick, then he got better. Then I had an abscess tooth, then he got sick again. It was just, and then people at our work had like stomach viruses, and we were trying to avoid those, and just like, God, it was, February sucked. It was a short month, but holy balls, it sucked. So I apologize for not getting that stuff out. I hate missing shows, but y'all, whoo, the Lawrence household has not been well. I actually just got off my antibiotics, so.
Yeah, and the new puppy.
Yeah,
that whole thing,
and we have a brand new puppy, which is precious, but
he pees everywhere.
So, he is a urinating machine.
That's what happens with puppies. But, you know, he's so precious, though. He's very smart.
So cute, so smart, so sweet.
And I'll bet you.
Pisses a gallon every time.
Because we haven't done an episode in 2 weeks. I'll bet you he's doubled in size since y'all saw him last time.
Oh, most definitely.
He's huge.
Definitely has. He's so much bigger.
Let's see if you can catch him. Sirius, come over here.
I can't. He's walking out the door.
He left. The room.
He's like, nope, not going to be on camera.
I'm going to go pee somewhere. Fuck y'all.
I think he's just going in there to bother the other dog. But anyway, yeah, sorry about that. But, you know, it's that time of year. We've gone from being on our own separate offices to, like, being in one big office, like an open plan office.
Yeah, Leah and I work side by side right now.
Yeah, we're seriously, we have desks adjacent, and it's cute.
There's an aisle in between.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I'm in where Leah is going to be permanently for about 90 days or so, and then I'll actually move somewhere else in the office. But yeah, I'm sitting beside Leah at work, and sometimes we make the jokes that we make on this podcast all the time, and then I go, oh shit, we are literally in HR. Like, we both work in the human resources department. Fucking stop talking about my little penis in front of everyone.
Look, we didn't say anything about that specifically, but
pretty much. So, yeah.
Man, it's been a roller coaster, but I am in a much better place just mentally. I'm loving my new job. I hope Mitchell does too. And
I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah,
we're getting paid a lot more. So
we're excited for the transition, but it has been a lot on us physically, like just so much. So,
but it's not the work though.
No, it's not the work. The work is great.
Just
it's just being physically in a different place, changing our sleep schedules because we go in later than we're used to. It's a lot of stuff, but I mean,
I thought I had COVID again. Like, for the second time in a month, I thought I had COVID again. But no, I didn't. I tested negative, and it must have been the flu or something. But
yeah, you were really sick. You don't usually get that sick, so it was probably the flu.
Actually, I think the last episode we did, we talked about how, yes, when I get sick, I'm really pitiful. I was very pitiful.
You were doubly pitiful this time. It was bad.
Go fuck yourself.
Oh. I get sick so often that like I can totally mask not being sick. Like I can just pretend that I'm not sick and I can go get things done, and then I can come home and just like dissolve into a puddle of goo. Mitchell does not have that superpower.
No, it's because throughout my life, like, I don't really get sick that much. Like I talked about the last time, there have been many instances working for the state where I woke up and went, I'm not 100%. I don't want to go today. Very few of those have been me being like, I need to see a doctor. It's mostly, I don't feel good. I want to play Xbox all day. Done. I'm not going to do that anymore because number one, we don't get as much leave time. Number two, I can work from home if I need to. And number three, I'm just getting paid more. I care more. Sorry. Capitalism.
Anyway, so yeah, that's about our absence. But anyway, we're back. We're mostly good. I think there's still
I'm still hacking stuff up every once in a while.
I still think there's some lingering illnesses, but for the most part, we're good to go, and we're ready and excited to deliver.
Do the sassy Southern saying. What?
I was about to say I was ready to deliver our sassy Southern Saying of the evening.
Sorry.
So
Continue.
Thanks for that. You ruined it. Also, I just realized that we also have something before that because we have a brand new member of the Possum Passo.
Yay, Possum Passo. I have to get out of the favorites. I forgot.
Access denied.
I just clicked the first one. I'm sorry. That doesn't do anything.
We have a brand new member of our Possum Passo. We would like to. Are you going to put in something or are you just.
I'm hitting things. You probably can't hear them.
I can't hear anything. I don't know that my headphones are functioning.
That was a deflating balloon. Can you hear my voice if I'm real quiet? Can you hear that?
No.
You can't hear that?
These headphones aren't doing anything. Don't worry about it. Just for show, apparently. But.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Check-ins?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
you just
I can
continue.
hear it
I'll
now.
work on this.
Okay, no, it's functioning in one ear now. That's exciting.
Like bull.
But anyway,
I don't know what that one was.
we have a brand new member of the Possum Passo. We want to welcome Lydia.
Welcome, Lydia.
Lydia. Hey, Lydia.
Excuse my lack of enthusiasm. I still don't feel great.
Well, I feel fine, and I've got most of one of those ciders in me, and I'm feeling it, and I'm having a great time. So, welcome, Lydia. Thank you so much for contributing to the Possum Passo. You are the bestest.
Thank you.
Yeah. Huzzah, Lydia.
Yay, Lydia.
All right. Well, also, we're going to go and do our sassy Southern saying of the evening. And this one's fun. So the phrase is close as cat's breath.
No. You have forgotten, Leah. We'll get to that one. But Leah made a boo-boo a couple weeks ago. We were at a friend's, Amber and Aaliyah. They have 2 sons.
Yeah.
They're in their community theater, and they do they're in the performances and stuff. They were doing Aladdin Jr. I don't remember. I think what happened was the Hartselle, this particular community theater, is kind of notorious for just like casting literally 80 or so kids. And it's just so all the parents and grandparents will buy tickets and come to the show.
Yeah.
So it's Aladdin Jr. There's like 7 characters in Aladdin, right?
Yeah.
This play has a cast of 90.
Yeah.
And I'm looking in the program and I'm like, how are they going to put all these kids in there or whatever? And I think that's just how we got to it. Was Leah then said, well, I guess that's how you goose a chicken. And
I was saying something along the lines of, oh man, they're just goosing the chicken.
No, you said that's one way to goose a chicken. That's what it was. And then I looked at you and you went, what did I just say? I said, I don't fucking know, Leah. Could you explain that to me? And she said, no, I have no idea what I said.
It just came out real fast. Man, they're just goosing a chicken.
Yeah, that's one way to goose a chicken, I guess. Cast 90 kids in Aladdin Jr.
I think what I meant was like they're taking like a bare bones kind of small thing and they're trying to make it into something more grand and larger.
So you're taking a chicken and you're goosing it up.
Yeah, you're goosing it up. You're making it into a goose.
You're slicking back its feathers.
Yeah, you're goosing up that chicken, you know?
Giving it a corkscrew penis. Is that just ducks?
That's just ducks.
Geese don't have that?
I don't think so. I don't really know about Goose Genitalia.
Oh, man. I love getting the episode title out of the way early.
But yeah, that was my thought. And I don't think it came out well. But I feel like that should just be my new personal catchphrase. Oh, that's one way to goose a chicken.
Yeah, it's really good. Okay, do the actual one this time.
Okay, the one that I was doing before Mitchell so rudely interrupted me.
Yeah, my bad.
Was close as cat's breath.
Okay, yeah. Excuse me. Oh, God, I'm not feeling great. I would guess that means you have to be really close to a cat to feel its breath because they don't particularly breathe hard. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. It's they're super close. So most of the time it's like when people are really close to each other whispering about something, or like 2 people that are into each other, couple sitting real close so they can talk. They're close as cat's breath.
Gross. I'd never heard that before. Huh. I might have heard
It's
it.
a pretty old one too.
I don't know. I just know that to me that doesn't make much sense because Steve always has his face in my face. So
He gets as close as cat's breath, and that is, in fact, incredibly close.
He's also a little hefty, so you can feel him breathe from a little bit further away. So,
Steve our sweet little kitty chomp.
Steve kind of huffs and puffs sometimes.
Alrighty, well, we are 15 minutes in, and we have not done a story yet. So
I got to get up for work in
let's get this going,
hours,
because the second story is a little bit longer. So we're going to start with the Eastern State Hospital. And there's a lot of hospitals named that. So to differentiate, we're talking about the one in Williamsburg, Virginia, and we're talking about the original historical one, not the one that is still operating today, because it is still operating today.
In the same city,
just not on the original campus. What?
Okay, so it's in the same city, though.
Same city, just a different campus. And weirdly enough, they still have real bad reviews about their care on Google. Not that the original one had Google reviews, but you know.
Yeah. What do they say on Yelp?
Not great. Anyway. So yeah, besides that, it was initially built in 1773, and the Eastern State Hospital, it's not what it was called initially, but that was the last name of it. But it was a psychiatric hospital. It was built in Williamsburg, Virginia in 1773, and it was the very first public facility in the United States that was constructed completely for the care and treatment of mentally ill people. So it was the very first mental institution, the very first psychiatric hospital of any sort built in the United States. So that's interesting. Oh, okay. Conditions weren't great. Just to put that out there, it was not great, even to begin with. In the mid-1700s, there was the governor of Virginia at the time's name was Francis Fauquier, I want to say. It's spelled Fauquier. Fauquier? I don't know.
Farquhar, maybe?
I'm going to name him Francis.
Like the guy from Shrek? Like Farquaad?
It's kind of. But I'm going to call him Francis because his name is Francis, and that's easier to say.
It was like last year that I figured out. Not that I figured out, because I didn't fucking know, but I read someone say, yeah, it was really funny how they got away with just calling the guy Fuckwad in the kids movie. And I was like, God damn. Like I got the whole tiny guy with the big castle penis joke that they did.
Yeah.
But like I'd never even put it together that, they're just calling him Fuckwad.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay, go ahead. I was 33 when I learned that.
Well, I was today years old, so.
Oh, really? You didn't know that either?
Yeah, no, absolutely
It's just them getting away with calling him Fuckwad. Yeah, that's it.
The more you know.
Anyway, Leah. So Leah was 32.
Yeah.
34 in lady years.
32 35. In normal human years, Mitchell.
You know.
Rude. Anyway, so Francis, the governor of Virginia, proposed that they build this hospital, and he wanted it to, quote, house a poor, unhappy set of people who are deprived of their senses and wander about the country, terrifying the rest of their fellow creatures. So, not really a great outlook on the people that they're attempting to facilitate in this place. So it was really a lot more of a prison than it was like a place to actually cure and or treat illness. It was just a place to lock them up that wasn't the general jail that they sent, criminals to. So in 1773, they, built this facility, and they called it the Public Hospital for Persons of Insane and Disordered Minds. And they admitted the first several mental patients. And like I said, it was more of a prison than it was anything. There were 24 cells in all, and they were cells. It was just like a prison. They all had barred windows, reinforced doors, and the cells had straw-filled mattresses on the floors. They had chamber pots. There were iron shackles on the walls. It was a prison. That's the best way to put it. It was a prison. But a few doctors here and there did attempt to treat some of these people. And one of the many doctors that became one of the treaters, or the practitioners there, was a man named Dr. Benjamin Rush. And his theory of mental health at the time was that all mental imbalances, all mental illnesses were caused by inflammation of the brain. And so he decided that he was going to use the patients there to prove his point, and he wanted to treat them. He wanted to cure them of their insanities. And so he came up with a lot of really interesting and basically torture methods to cleanse and scare them insane. Or to scare them sane, I believe.
Okay. That would reduce the inflammation? Being scared? Okay.
Weirdly, a lot of people were under the notion that being scared out of the insanity is the best way to cure them. So they would perform treatments on these people that were basically torture. So he developed this particular kind of chair. He called it a tranquilizer chair. And he strapped these patients to this chair, and it sort of had like a masky piece over it to where they were completely blocked out from light.
Jesus.
It sort of squeezed their head, so it reduced blood flow to the brain. And they also administered drugs to them while they were in this chair. So here's our shot in the dark.
Oh, yay, Leah. Oh. On a happy note.
Yay. Shot in the dark. Patients were forced to take medicine while being restrained in these torture chairs. So what did the medicine do? Was it A, hallucinogenic? Was it B, laxative? Or was it C, a tranquilizer?
Okay. I'm really hoping it's not B, because there's nothing worse than shitting yourself in the pitch black dark. I would have to guess. I'm going to say that it was hallucinogenic.
You are incorrect, sir. It was, in fact, the laxative.
God damn it.
Do you want me to take the shot? Because I really don't mind.
I'm fine. I don't have to be there till like 9.
Okay, fine.
In the morning. I'm fine.
So yeah, the patients were force-fed laxatives, and there was actually a gap in the chair, thankfully, I suppose.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. So you cheeked on one side, cheeked on the other. You were completely restrained. There was a slot in the chair, and there was a bucket underneath. Dear God, make sure you remember the bucket. Because while they were being tortured, they were shitting themselves.
I don't like this.
That's how they treated their mental illness, Mitchell. They were tortured and scared shitless, quite literally.
Is that where the saying comes from?
I don't think so, but if it's not, it should be, because that is literally what was going on.
That is awful.
And on top of stuff like that, they okay.
What's Sirius barking about?
Wanting to let everybody know he's here.
Okay.
Being a sweetheart.
I'll call him bud.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so they just believed that these laxatives and shitting them would help their systems cleanse itself. All of the impurities would be released out the butt.
I don't agree.
And that would cause them to be sane. But weirdly, he never cured a goddamn person. Just a lot of poop in buckets around there, and a lot of people that were even more mentally ill than they were when they came in there, because now they have all this trauma and PTSD and just absolute living nightmare bullshit.
So you're getting rid of the brain inflammation by literally just going all the way down is the idea?
I think so,
What the fuck? Was it like impurities, like people do a cleanse type of thing nowadays?
Yeah.
And that's all bullshit too? But, that's very upsetting.
100%. This is ye old colonic, but they forced it on these people instead of having them pay thousands of dollars.
I don't understand the connection of how that's going to help mental illness. How?
It didn't. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, but there has to be a reason for you to start it and be not just go, you know what? I think you have bad thoughts because you don't shit enough. You might be constipated. So let's get all that bad stuff out of there.
Well,
and now you can think clearly.
Well, sure. But that was a pretty common thought many times in history when it comes to sanatoriums, and that kind of thing. The sanatorium where Kellogg's developed the cornflakes and stuff. All of that stuff, like a lot of it, there was a lot of stigma around bodily functions in that particular sect. There was a lot of stuff about like eating a lot of whole grains to help you shit and keep you regular, so you'll be a pure mind, body, soul, spirit. Don't masturbate. Yeah. That whole thing.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I didn't know about the keeping regular part, but I knew that cornflakes and graham crackers, I believe, were both thought to be, if you eat this, they're so bland that you will be healthier and therefore won't want to masturbate.
Yep.
I knew about that part, but do you need another one? Yeah. Damn, Leah. All right, tell me if that's square on the camera.
Close enough. No, but close enough.
How about that?
No.
How about that?
You're turning it way too far.
How about that?
Other direction. No, other way. Fuck it. Okay. Just leave the can.
It's good. Y'all know what we're drinking. I just don't understand how they're connected there.
I don't know either, but let's move on because it gets worse. No. They also had obviously normal things, well, not normal, but like stuff that you would associate with mental hospitals and stuff like that. They had straitjackets. They had a lot of chains and that kind of thing. They also had this restraint device called an Utica crib. Utica, I'm not sure how you say that, but it's basically like this almost coffin-shaped cage, and they kind of stack on each other, and it's just like basically a person cage, and like it laid someone out like they were in a coffin, basically, and it was just a type of restraint, and you could restrain a lot of people for a long time like that.
I don't like that, Leah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And then there were also... It's pretty bad.
Pretty bad. Okay. Bad. Thanks, Leah.
I'm not good at dealing with stuff like this, like on a conceptual basis. So
I've told you before I don't like the torture stuff and all that, so I don't even know why we're doing it.
It's pretty difficult, but there were also a few other features of the hospital that weren't great, but moving forward. So thankfully, not everybody... oh, wait, I didn't mention... Okay, I do have to mention this one. One of the things that they thought would actually help cure these patients was, they did the standard things like doing bleeding. So they had, scarificator, like these little sort of blades that would clamp down on something and cause them to bleed. They had, normal stuff like that. But they also thought that you could regulate people's harmful fluids and the states of their mind by dunking them in ice cold water.
Yeah, I've heard of that too. That's ridiculous.
I say that's been a treatment in a bunch of different psychiatric facilities, but just like dipping these people in just freezing cold water to the point where sometimes they develop hypothermia.
Whoops.
Not great.
Whoops.
Oopsie, my bad, guys. Not great. Like initially when this whole thing was built in I forgot already. I've had too much of that. 1773. When it was initially built in 1773, it had a bunch of lawns that people could at least go outside and like see the outside and hang out. And
they could have outside time.
Yeah, they had outside time. But by the time the 1790s rolled around, they decided that was just way too much fresh air and sun. Yeah. And they decided that it would be easier on everybody to not let them out very much. So they built very small courtyards, and they had fences that were like 10 feet high, so no one could like
Were they barbed wire over the top too? Razor wire or barbed wire?
I don't think it had any kind of razor wire or anything, but I think that was more of just because it wasn't a thing at the time. But it was very like prison yardy looking. There wasn't anything nice out there. There were no plants. It was just like they could get out and walk around, but that is the bare minimum of anything that anybody's doing. And of course, what would a psychiatric hospital be without like burying the people that die there in unmarked graves? Because that happened. Like there are lots of bodies that are still buried all over that facility. I think it was built initially on about 500 acres. So that's just
huge.
Yeah. There's ground all around that area that just, you know, there are corpses buried in certain areas there, and they're all in unmarked graves.
Fucking Christ. So nobody knows who any of them are.
They have names of most of the people that died and were buried there, or at least for some portions of the time that it was actively, that location was actively being used as the psychiatric hospital. And they have since then put up a monument, and those monuments actually have everybody's name engraved on them, which is great. It's nice that at least if you can't have a head marker where they're actually buried, that at least the names are memorialized in some way. But obviously that's probably not everybody. It's who they had records for. It's sad any way you look around. Yeah. And of course it kind of lends a lot of people to believe that a lot of these people still haunt the grounds, and there's a lot of, unrest and activity. If you believe in that kind of thing, a lot of people do believe that there's a lot of weird energy and spiritual activity on that property because of all of the torment, the pain, the unmarked graves, that kind of thing. So, yeah, not great. But thankfully, not all of the doctors that treated people there were terrible.
Yay.
Yeah. In 1841, there was a man named Dr. John Minson Galt, and he was elected as the superintendent of the hospital, and he was like, look, guys, if we expect to treat these people, we can't torture them. Go figure. And he spent about 21 years as the superintendent of that hospital, and he replaced all the previous shitty treatments, and he replaced them with a method he called moral management. And it just basically meant like, we're going to treat these people like real human people, and we're going to do what we can to not chain them to anything, and we're going to allow them out for walks and allow them to have hobbies and allow them to talk to each other and, treat them like fucking people. And, over the time that he was in charge, a lot of the patients were a lot happier. They had a lot more freedom. They even got to go into town on field trips and like just act like normal people, have actual lives. But unfortunately, he was pretty unpopular with the directors of the hospital, and they really fought him to keep him from being able to put into place some of the
He's
the
a radical
things.
leftist, wasn't he?
Basically,
that's the problem.
They didn't like that he was treating these people like people.
Yeah.
And so it didn't go great for him.
Goddamn hippies ruining our torture of mental patients.
Apparently. But unfortunately in 1862, the Civil War hit Williamsburg in a hard way, and the Union soldiers ended up taking control of the hospital. And Dr. Galt was unable to do anything. It was no longer his hospital. He was no longer in control. He did not have care of the patients any longer. And it upset him how harshly all of the patients ended up being treated now that was occupied land, and he ended up taking his own life.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And apparently he took his own life in one of the rooms in the original building. And they said that the blood stains that he left behind were so bad that they tried to wash the floorboards.
I'm laughing because y'all can't hear it, but our dogs are fighting in the other room.
They are having a battle.
Very loudly. Like, not fighting, they're playing, but Samus... who y'all have seen many times, is very loud when she plays. And apparently Sirius is too. He's brand new at it, but goddamn, neither one of them will shut the fuck up. They're so loud.
We got to the emotional crux of this story, and they just decided to go crazy.
Oh, here they come. They're going to do it in here.
In here. Yeah.
All right, everybody listen real close. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but it's so loud. Leah, get to a cutoff point because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop.
Okay, anyway. So they tried to, wash the bloodstains off of the floorboards. That didn't work. They pulled up the floorboards, replaced the floorboards, and the next day the stains were back. That's it. Standard bloody floorboard ghost story. Thank you.
All right.
But apparently that ghost still haunts the area. But I will say that I'm not going to even finish out all of this because we have dogs, and that was the interesting portion of it. But basically, most of the original buildings burned down in a series of about 3 fires. Excuse me. The last of the fires happened in 1902.
Yeah.
And so basically, the buildings were all replaced. They were rebuilt. But they soon realized that it was just too...
Oh, Samus hit the camera.
Can you please
I can't reach it. I don't know what to do.
Hold on. I'll just tilt it to...
Yeah, there you go. You can fix it from there. Hey, we'll finish out this half right here. Okay, we're good. I really hope everybody watches YouTube.
God, man, this has been a shit show of an episode. I apologize.
You're going to see where the green screen ends beside me?
No, I've got it refocused. We're good.
Yeah,
we're crooked.
There's a piece of the video where it wasn't.
Yeah, we're crooked, but it's fine. Anyway, so...
Okay, well, I don't know how this is going to cut together. But not only was the camera sideways for a second, the dogs then knocked it over. So we'll see how things go. We stopped the audio too. I don't know. Now Leah's got a hold of Sirius. We're going to see if he can just chill for a second. Good boy. Okay. Leah, would you like to finish the first story?
Fuck. Man, it has been a roller coaster.
Get your bike up to you.
It has been a roller...
He pushed it away. This is so great.
Okay, guys, they rebuilt, they moved the hospital to its now location because the Rockefellers donated a bunch of money, and now...
Serious? Stop
that... The rebuilt version of the original hospital is still in Williamsburg, and it is being maintained as a museum by the Colonial Williamsburg organization. And you can go and see recreated cells and conditions from the original 1773 version of the hospital, should you choose to go to one of my favorite places in the world, Colonial Williamsburg. That was everything.
Yeah.
I will see you back here, hopefully with less dogs.
Break time. We're going to lock the dogs in a small cage outside where they won't get any sunlight. Number one, it's nighttime. But number two, fuck them. I mean, Jesus Christ.
We're just going to let them out in the yard where they like to run and romp. How about we do that?
We can do that.
Okay.
That works. Okay, well, it's break time. Everything has got to be reset. The camera's got to charge.
I'm exhausted.
This is maybe the worst episode we've ever done so far.
100%.
Anyway, we'll see what happens when we come back. We'll see you in a little bit.
We'll see you soon.
Welcome back, everybody. I have grabbed something for me. When I started the new job, our boss gets us a little bag of treats, according to a questionnaire that you fill out. And I said, I like gummy candies. That was one of the things. She got me this bag of gummy bears that were sour. These aren't sour, but I found a bag. They were the most amazing gummy bears I've ever had. I found a bag of them that aren't sour, 5 pounds for $12 on Amazon. Yeah, 5 pounds of gummy bears. And we've been trying to lose weight. That's going to have to wait for at least a week while I eat the rest of these gummy bears. So I'm going to chew on these during the rest of the show. They're Albanese brand, if you've never heard of them.
If you get through 5 pounds of gummy bears in a week, I'm going to be upset with you.
I don't plan to eat anything else, if that helps. There's 12 flavors in the bag. Oh, my God. They're amazing.
Okay, well...
Go ahead.
Great. Anyway, in the cluster cuss that was the end of the first story, I missed being able to actually tell you what my sources were for those. So, just so you know, it came from Atlas Obscura, Ranker, and Wikipedia. So, there you go.
Awesome.
Woo. Okay.
I know the camera didn't charge much, so
yeah,
we gotta speed this up.
Okay. So, we are going to be doing our second story, true crimey, because why not? Let's do it. We're going to do an interesting murder story from Kentucky. And it is kind of fun. So, and also, you know how like older true crime stories like yield stabby stabs, and that's what this is. It came from 1825. So here is the story. And please stop rattling that bag. Oh my goodness. You're worse than the dogs.
I'm just seeing what the red one was.
Okay.
I believe it was cherry.
Great. So
There's
glad.
12 flavors. I don't know. See the cherry or strawberry? I think it's cherry.
Stop rattling the bag.
I'm not trying to rattle the bag, Leah. It's a 5-pound bag of gummy bears. It's gonna rattle. Go.
I'm so upset with you and the dogs.
I just had the grapefruit one. Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so about that Kentucky murder that you're supposed to be paying attention to.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay. All right. So, the main lady involved in this particular murder, her name is Anna Cook Beauchamp, and she is an interesting person because all of the historical documentation that is available about this woman comes from two different sources, and both sources...
It's not picking up on the microphone, Leah.
I don't care. It's distracting as fuck, and you need to stop doing it, please.
Put your headphones on.
They don't do anything. They are broken. So please stop rattling the bag for
no more
20
fucking
minutes.
gummy bears. God.
Thank you.
Ugh.
So, yeah. So you've completely thrown me off.
Have some gummy bears. Relax. Have a handful of gummy bears.
I'm mildly intoxicated and I'm trying to keep this shit show on track and you're ruining it.
Oh, I don't know what flavor that light bluish green one is, but god damn. Y'all try some Albanese gummy bears. If you don't like them, it's $12. It's a 5-pound bag. You can give them away. I don't know why you won't like them. There's 12 flavors. Go ahead, Leah.
You done with the commercial there?
Yeah, Leah.
Okay.
Wish I was getting paid for it.
Okay, so there are two different sources about this story. One of them is the confession of the man that did the stabby stab, and the other one is, quote, the vindication of the character of the late Colonel Solomon P. Sharp, which is the dude that got stabby stabbed.
Okay.
But that was written by his brother, because obviously he didn't write it posthumously. Anyway.
Right.
So, apparently, there was this lady. Her name was Anna Cook. Her family came from Virginia, and apparently they were really wealthy planters from Virginia. But once her father died, they didn't have a lot of money, and they decided to move to Kentucky to sort of start over, make a new life, start a new situation out there. So Anna and her mother and like 5 brothers head out to Kentucky with what's left of their fortune, and they set up a new estate, and they call the estate Retirement, which, okay,
nice,
a little on the nose, but fun. And it's a little bit outside of present day Bowling Green, Kentucky. They were wealthy enough to own slaves, so they were still relatively wealthy, but they did historically own at least 2 dozen slaves, which not great. But anyway, the daughter, Anna, was the oldest daughter, the oldest her brothers were all younger than her. She was the eldest child. And she was said to have a lot of suitors. People liked her. She wasn't particularly pretty, but like she was fun and vivacious, and she loved to read. And she was sort of weird for her time period because she didn't really give a fuck about getting married. She specifically spurned a lot of people that wanted to marry her because she just didn't care. She didn't want to be tied down by a dude, and she was just like, nah, no thanks, not for me. I'd rather like read my novels and not have to do all of the shit that goes along with taking care of a house. Thank you kindly.
God, me too.
Yeah, right. So the older she got and the more staunch in her like, fuck everybody, I'ma sit and read my romance novels that she got, like the more people were like, oh, yeah, something's wrong with this lady. So she kind of became a little bit more withdrawn, and the more she was withdrawn, the more she got into a bunch of like romance novels and smut. Just smut of the day, you know? Mm-hmm. Big fan.
Quietly getting gummy bears over here.
Apparently she wasn't completely a hermit because she was still seen in the company of men relatively often. And the fact that she never actually married any of these men sort of led people to gossip about the purity of her just general.
Oh, they thought she was a hua?
Oh, they thought she was a hua. And it turns out in 1820, she was 35 years old. She was completely unmarried, unattached in any way to a man, but she was pregnant because stuff like that happens. And unfortunately, the baby was stillborn on delivery. And she delivered that June in 1820. And after the baby was born and died, she let everybody know who the fuck it was that got her pregnant. She declared far and wide that she had been seduced and abandoned by a man named Colonel Solomon Sharp. She even said the exact day that they fucked. It was Sunday, September the 18th of 1819, in case anybody wanted to know. Because it was specifically that Sunday because he was home and Sharp's wife, Eliza, was at church. So he was a cheating hoe. Anyway, so a little bit more about Solomon Sharp. The Sharp families did live in pretty close proximity to the Cook household, and Anna Cook had known Solomon Sharp for at least 12 years. They had been living in the same neighborhood for that long. And Solomon Sharp, he was sort of a country boy, but he ended up becoming a very, very wealthy, powerful man. Shot in the dark. What was Solomon Sharp's profession? Shot in the dark. What was Solomon Sharp's profession? Was he A, a planter, B, a lawyer, or C, a doctor?
A planter, you say?
Yes. Plant, a lawyer, doctor.
I'm going with lawyer. B.
You're correct. He was a lawyer. Yay.
Here you go, Leah. Take that shot.
All right.
I'm going to take this opportunity to get some gummy bears. Oh, yeah. Yo, these are seriously the best gummy bears I've ever had. They're amazing.
Stop talking about the gummy bears.
How good are they, though? You've had some. What do you mean? What are you shrugging for?
They're great, but they're not so good that it makes me not want to slap you every time you rattle that bag.
Well, I'm not doing it now. Go.
Okay. Delayed reaction. Oh, man. That was... I'm struggling. Anyway.
Would you like a mango gummy bear?
Yes, please.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That one's definitely mango. I know because the one that's more white is pineapple. That one's like in between white and yellow. Isn't it good?
It was fun.
Go fuck yourself.
Anyway. So he turns out to be like the most successful attorney in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And he held the rank of colonel in the state militia. He owned 3,600 acres of land. And at the age of 24, he became a United States congressman. So he was like a very...
Do you want some? I like to make the gummy bear 69 when I do it. Only the same color ones, though.
This show is like herding cats on fire.
You want one?
No.
Okay.
He was a rising star in politics in Kentucky. He was like just an up and comer. He was really well known and well liked by a lot of the political figures of the time. But he did obviously have a lot of bitter enemies in Kentucky politics, because in the 1820s it was pretty rough. And in 1821, his rivals used Anna Cook's accusations to try to keep him from becoming the state attorney general. And they printed pamphlets and told everybody, oh, he seduced Anna Cook. But the Senate sort of formed a committee to investigate what was going on, and they basically found the whole story to be like completely groundless. Like there was very little evidence. It just didn't make sense that he was involved with that woman at that time, and like they all pretty much assumed that she was using him as a random scapegoat because he lived close enough, and so they dropped it. Yeah, and he was well known, and so they dropped it, and they confirmed him as the attorney general. So, like I said, it's really unsure, historically speaking, whether or not Solomon ever had any kind of relations with Anna whatsoever. But for the most part, everybody assumed and knew that he was a pretty happily married man of a woman named Eliza. They were expecting their first child when, he was supposedly seducing this other woman. And the charge of seduction is a very specific charge in the time period. So it meant like convincing a young woman to have sex with you under the pretense that you're going to marry her, but then like pulling out of the arrangement.
Oh, you pull out? Yeah.
And that is what that specific charge was. But she's 35 years old and she doesn't have the best reputation when it comes to that kind of thing. Yeah. And, he was married already. So, that charge would never have stuck to him anyway, because it doesn't match, what that charge was going to be.
It's really wild. You could be charged with that.
You could. Most definitely. And so, like I said, it was a little weird. But she held a grudge about this thing, like a lot. She just basically festered and stewed and was upset about it. But like, no one defended her honor. Like, she had brothers still living at the time. And if it had been a thing, like where she had actually been seduced and all of this stuff, her brothers would have been like honor bound by the time and like the customs of the era and the area to like go duel him or like beat the shit out of him or something. But they were like, no, our sister's kind of a hoe. And like they just didn't do anything,
Look.
So eventually.
She made her bed. She gonna lie in it.
I suppose. So eventually she found someone who was going to, fight the guy. So she found this guy named Jeroboam Beauchamp. Jeroboam, which is such a good name. Mm-hmm. So Jeroboam was this dude that was, from all accounts, a very smart man, but really quarrelsome, really eccentric, very just wild and weird and just all over the place. He was a loose cannon, and by the age of 18 he had already formally been charged with fathering a child out of wedlock, and he was rumored to have fathered several more. So he was spreading some wild oats at that point. Yeah. He was a little bit wild, and apparently when he was 18 years old was around the time the news of Ann Cook's seduction was made public by the people accusing Mr. Sharp of fucking her, etc.
Why are you laughing about that, Leah?
It's funny. I'm sorry. So eventually he heard about this lady that had been seduced, and he figured out that she was living nearby him in Bowling Green, and he was like, oh, I'm going to meet this lady. And a lot of people are like, why would you want to meet this fallen woman? And anyway, everybody's pretty sure that he just, apparently this was a well-known lady that had already, had her morals,
bestowed. That's not it.
She was already known to be a little bit slutty, and he wanted a piece. That's all I'm saying. And she's 17 years older than this kid.
Oh, God.
But, like, he's into her, and she's like, all right, fine. So
go for it.
Apparently, she had become pretty reclusive, but he was really interested in romantic novels as well. He was into smut. He liked the poetry of Lord Byron, and apparently he kind of flirted with her through that avenue. They sort of bonded over their mutual love of smutty literature. And so they started a little bit of a relationship. Oh. But when he asked to marry her, she was like, look, and this is a quote here, that the hand which should receive hers would only have to revenge the injury a villain had done her. Her heart could never cease to ache till Colonel Sharp should die through her instrumentality. And that's from like an article that was published that they wrote together. It was his confession. We'll get to that later, but anyway, that's a quote from that. But basically, she was like, if you're not going to stab the guy that fucked me and left me, I'm not fucking you. And so Beauchamp was like, okay, look, I'll do it. So he claims in that, in the confession letter that he writes, he claims that in 1821, he traveled to Frankfort, Kentucky, and he challenged Colonel Sharp to a duel. And Colonel Sharp was like, oh no, I can't fight you, Beauchamp. You're just too manly. And he got on his knees and he begged for his life. But most historical people say there's absolutely no chance in hell that ever happened. Yep. That was just this romantical lie that they came up with because, like... with the state of Kentucky politics at the time, if it had gotten out that a man that was as prominent as Colonel Sharp had like declined a duel, there's no way he would have done anything else in Kentucky politics.
Right. I just want to get your attention. The camera is way off over there. Well, maybe one of the dogs hit it.
Great.
It may have been like that for a while. So
yeah, fuck it.
Don't watch the YouTube video this time.
Maybe we won't put in a YouTube video.
I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it's not great.
It's not great.
I do think one of the dogs hit the stand.
Yeah. Great.
Go ahead.
Love dogs. Anyway. So probably that never happened, but eventually Anna, regardless of what happened, decides to marry him. So in 1824, Anna Cook and Jeroboam Beauchamp get married, even though Sharp was still alive. But, they continued to plot his murder together because that is romantic as fuck, apparently. Yeah, so in 1825, after he's done being the Kentucky Attorney General, Sharp ends up campaigning for the General Assembly, and his opponents once again bring back up that crazy thing where he seduced Anna Cook. And by the time the news reached the Beauchamp family, it also included an additional little bit of gossip. And the gossip was that Colonel Sharp had obtained a certificate from the midwife that had delivered her stillborn baby. And the midwife claimed that the infant was of mixed race. So there was no way that it could have been his. Whether or not that any of that was true or not, like I said, very dubious in the historical record, but that was what they said set them off because, having sex with this random dude over here is fine, But apparently, you know, the charge that his wife had once had sex with a black man was just too much for this Jeroboam chap to handle. And so he decided that absolutely not. We're not gonna allow the besmirchment of this woman any longer. So he decides that he's gonna really do it this time. It's murder o'clock, you know. So on the night of November the 6th of 1825, Jeroboam Beauchamp shows up. He sort of, you know, concealed his identity a little bit, probably wore like a ninja costume. I don't know. Just assuming. But he got himself a big old butcher knife and he sharpened both edges of it and he dipped it in poison because he was very thorough in this particular attempt. And he knocks on the door where Colonel Sharp is staying around 2 a.m. So he knocks on the door and Colonel Sharp eventually wakes up and comes outside like, what the fuck is going on? It is 2 a.m., sir. And Beauchamp sort of jumps out of the shadows and stabs him in, quote, the heart, saying, "Die, you villain." But he apparently didn't know where the heart was, and he like kind of stabbed him in the stomach. Not great, but because of the poison and all of the like juicy bits down in the abdomen, it was in fact a fatal stabbing.
Gross.
Yeah. And so Colonel Sharp ends up dying right after being stabbed. So initially, a lot of people suspected that stabbing was because of like political opponents. But when people heard that Jeroboam Beauchamp, you know, Anna's husband, had been in Frankfurt that day, everybody was like, oh shit, it was that kid. 100% it was that kid. Mm-hmm. So he goes from being not the suspect to being the only suspect. So they arrest him and he goes on trial on May the 8th of 1826, and the trial lasts 11 days. It is a pretty long trial. There's testimony from dozens of witnesses. He pleads not guilty, and most of the evidence against him was entirely circumstantial. And weirdly, neither side mentions that whole seduction case because the defense doesn't want the jury to know, or the jury to even think that the Beauchamp guy was, you know, justified in seeking this revenge, and the prosecution didn't want the jury to think that, you know, the murder was... Wait, I think I got that backwards.
I don't know what we're talking about anymore. You lost me.
The defense doesn't want anybody to know about the seduction charges because they don't want the jury to think that he's seeking revenge, and the prosecution doesn't want the jury to think that like it's a justified murder because he had fucked the guy's wife. So neither of them really talk about the central issue that was the reason that the guy got stabbed in the first place. So it looked like the trial was initially going to be fine and that like Beauchamp was going to walk away. But eventually like they got someone on the stand and he was like, look, Beauchamp tried to make me commit perjury, like saying that I wasn't there, etc. And anyway, long story short, this whole thing goes belly up on Beauchamp and eventually he gets sentenced to hang. He's sentenced to hang on June the 16th. And Anna was so upset. She refuses to leave her husband's side. And so they just toss her in the jail cell with him because, you know, whatever. She's too much hassle to try to rip away from him. So together while they're in that jail cell, they wrote that document that I was talking about earlier. And it's called The Confession of Jeroboam Ode Beauchamp.
Just nice burp, by the way. That is just a great name over and over again.
Beauchamp. I like it.
It's so good. I would love to write that on a letter one day and be like, this is my confession.
Yeah. And so they thought that if they reworked this whole situation, like in the form of like the romantic smutty novels that they loved so much, that they could gain a lot of public attention and they could keep him from, you know, getting hung. And so that's what that whole thing was. The entire thing was like fanfic of what actually happened.
Yeah.
It was just lots of very like sordid details and just lots of just like star-crossed lovers and all of that stuff.
Bullshit.
And they tried to get a publisher to
just all bullshit. Right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But they tried to get it like published far and wide to help their case, and it turns out none of the publishers would do it. And so they sent the confession to the governor, and the governor was like, "I don't give a fuck. We're hanging that guy." So eventually they realized that that's not going to help anything, and eventually they decide to commit suicide in the jail cell. So Anna smuggled in a bottle of laudanum, and they decided to split the laudanum, and they were going to die via laudanum overdose. Turns out, not enough laudanum.
Okay.
Did not kill either of them. So the morning of the hanging, they tried again. And so Anna had concealed a small knife in her person. And so they...
What does that mean?
Stuck it in her boobs.
Okay. Thanks.
That's also where they smuggled in the laudanum. Apparently they weren't checking her boobs,
there
but she smuggled in a small knife, and so she stabbed herself, and then Jeroboam stabbed himself. And her wounds killed her. She did a good job, and like the suicide was complete for her. But the jailers were able to save Jeroboam because he wasn't as like gung-ho about it as she was. So they sewed him back up, and they kept him ready to hang.
Jesus.
So when it came time to hang him, there were 5,000 people gathered outside of Frankfurt, ready to witness his execution. As he was taken to the gallows, they were expecting him to give like a last speech, because a lot of people in that situation would give last words or whatever. And he was like, I don't want to do that. He asked for a glass of water, and he requested that the band play the song, quote, Bonaparte's Retreat from Moscow, which apparently is like a big lively dance tune. I've never heard it. I don't know what it sounds like. But after the band had played that, he was like, yeah, I'm good. And he stood up, quote, at 1:30, and he got hung. And that's what happened. And after they died, the Confessions of Jeroboam Beauchamp was published. And that was actually the like sort of source material for several other that their story inspired other people to make plays and novels, and even Edgar Allan Poe tried writing like a play about it, but it never got finished. It was called The Politician. Yeah, basically all of their story was just like, the story that was published was just like a serious, like, smutty fanfic of what actually happened. And apparently they left behind instructions for what there should be written on their grave. And it's like a poem that she wrote.
Long poem, Leah.
I was going to say, and I would read it, but it's long as fuck. And it's not terribly good.
I wouldn't expect it to be.
And so I'm just going to let y'all know that it's just this long fanficky poem that I won't read, but it is available online if you're interested.
Very easy to find, right?
Yes, okay. It is very easy to find, and it is engraved on their tombstone. They were buried in one single coffin.
Oh, fucking gross.
Together in the Maple Grove Cemetery in Bloomfield, Kentucky. So if anybody's interested, you can still visit their grave site, and their headstone does have that epitaph engraved on it. So yeah, that was that story.
Do the sources.
Oh yes, the source for that was Murder by Gaslight.
Okay.
Love that blog. It's really fun. If you've never
The most upsetting thing about that story is the one coffin part. That's gross. I know you're both dead, but fucking gross.
No, they requested one coffin. He requested that they be buried side by side in the same coffin, with his arm around her and with his hand resting on her bosom.
Oh, fucking gross, dude.
Smut life to the end.
Smut life. Oh,
okay,
Leah.
we got less than 5% battery on this camera, so we're going to go directly into this toast.
Do it.
Hoist your cans, let's do this. Strapped to a chair and filled with great terror, whoever chose X-Lax made a great error. These star-crossed lovers had a passion for smut. JB went and stabbed an old man in the gut. Drink!
Nice, Leah. Not bad. Well, no time for pleasantries. Thanks for listening. Do all the stuff.
Yes,
And
stop.
thanks.
Woo.
Right? I got to give it like a minute for the song, though.
Yeah.
So, we'll do some...
Jingly jangly.
Oh, my God, I hit the
Jingly
cat.
jangly.
Steve, you okay? I'm sorry, bud.
I've gotten entirely too intoxicated.
We'll
I
give it a little bit of
apologize.
time. Yeah, I got to do this audio editing after this, and
I'm
it's going to
sorry.
be a nightmare with what happened in the first half. Y'all, I'm probably going to cut out a lot of it because the dogs seriously knocked the camera over.
It was
on the
really
ground.
bad.
So, I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see.
Well,
I think that's about enough. Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you,
well-
everybody, for listening, and we will see you next time.
bye, y'all.